All right, welcome back for another episode of Drawn with Jay. I know it's been a while. I was been a little busy, being I'm a new dad and all, but I finally found some time, to sit down, do another Drawn with Jay. Um, in between errands. So I think what I'm going to do today is a landscape. I think you guys have seen enough squirrels and other woodland creatures, but still I like the outdoors. So I'll try to do like a sort of like a scene. We'll call it a scene from the south, if you will. I feel like a fence. I feel like drawing like a sort of a landscape. Sort of like I always like farms, sort of like farmland, big sky. Let's see where we go, where it takes us here. Let's go with. I always like to start with the foreground, because as you build the drawing, you want to put things in the background, but you can't draw. You want to draw the things in the front first, essentially. So I think that the fence, I'm thinking the focal point should be right here, where all things end up, and then maybe like a path, like a walkway, right about here. Fence. Some trees, like a tree line, and then the tree line will like enlarge here. We'll say, boom, fence. All right, let's do it. Walkway, maybe like a walking path, like this. Maybe some contour. Give me a sense of where it's gonna go. That's the walking path, perhaps. And all right, something like that. The fence will be like right here. Maybe a horse. Be a good idea. A horse head. Something like that. A bed of flowers right here in the foreground, just for some perspective. I like to have something in the immediate foreground, then some middle ground action. A road. It's always a good way to add depth for perspective, to really help the viewer's eye tell a story, like bring you along. The tree line here. Let's see here. All right, these are just some like lilies, sort of like daisies, like a patch of daisies in any drawing. This is just sort of a study, I think, for a painting that will become. I haven't done an oil in a while. I have been doing. I just did like a cloud. I love the real cloud skies of Albany. It's something I always wanted to do. Sort of a jokey takeoff of the Real Housewives of whatever particular city. My wife, the lovely Rachel, loves the Real Housewives of the Potomac, I think, is the one right now. It's the big one. Real Housewives of the Potomac. Those ladies are always getting into it, man. They're always getting into it with each other. It's so contrived. But it's entertaining just to see how people are, you know. I'm adding extra black for some depth. Really supposed to give you an idea that there's some, these flowers are popping out at you. Adding some contrast. It's another important element of composition. But this is just a study, essentially. It's more of a sketch, an ink sketch. It's a study that will become an oil painting. Let's see. We got a fence. We need some fencing. So what should I do first? The posts. And then behind that would be the wood. Because if you're being kept inside of a fence, you'd want the boards to be in the inside to prevent being busted out. If they're boards on the outside of the post, it'd be easier for the horse to kick them out. So I'm going to put them on the inside of the post. Thinking my logic will work, I hope, without looking. I could just Google it, but I don't feel like it. So we'll go like that. I'll make them sort of bent a little bit, just for some character. Add some aged. They're worn. It's closer to you too, so the post you want to have it thick, like a good probably a 4x4, probably a 6 foot 4x4, or 4 foot 4x4. How far out it goes in the ground, who knows? From a perspective standpoint, I'm looking at it from this angle, and it's ideally going to be flush with that direction. So it's a square, but I'll see the broad side of it. That means that's got to go that way. And this will be, boom. And then a little bit of powdered edge, because a mallet would have had to have driven this in. So the top of it's going to be a little bit pushed out, a little bit. And that's your first post. And now this is going to be the end point here. So the last post is going to be like really small, like this big. So that helps me create my line. Probably the last post is going to go even further than that. Boom. Now, that's where the line's got to go. So the one right in the middle will be right here. I like to add a little imperfections instead of doing straight lines. Adds for a little bit more realism to any drawing. Not draw imperfect lines. To draw imperfect lines. All right. Next. Whoosh. All right, so that's the last bit, and we'll make those two boards to make up for that error. That could be anything, a tree. All right. Alright, so these boards are put in, and now we've got ourselves a fence. Oops, there we go. Alright, I wanted to put a horse in here somewhere, so we'll just put it sort of a little off center. So he isn't the start of the show. Put him like right here. We'll start with the ears. His head, I want to make my uncle Brian proud. This is just sort of a horse off the top of my head. I should be better at this, but let's see. All right, and then big neck, big strong neck. And that takes you into his chest, and then arm. Oh. All right, that's the horse. Just sort of off the top of my head, as you can see, just freestyling it, sort of a bronco, but tamed. All right, so that's the horse, and what else do I want to do here? We want to do like a big, maybe like a tree, maybe like a willow, common in the South, willow-esque anyway. I always call them weeping willows. It's some kind of like Spanish moss trees, we'll call them. It's really neat, like sort of stuff that hangs off these things. It's very flammable too. It makes for great kindling. It's sort of like wavy, so I like to do subtle contours when you're being suggestive with a certain kind of tree. Eventually the sun's going to be back here. I think I always like to do a sun in the distance, like a Michael Bay movie. That's how I like to make my paintings. Sort of evokes a certain emotion, which is good. It's fun. But it just means that you want to make the back of this tree sort of darker and shadier. You can add the detail later with the pen, because it's going to have to come after the watercolor paint. So you want to put in permanent black marker more. I shouldn't have done all that, but I'll come back in again and redo it after I put in the watercolor paint, because watercolor paint just tends to dull all of the ink because it's being filled up now or covered with essentially wet chalk. But maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just leave this ink and I'll just do like a shadow. That's the trunk. So I follow it. Some grass. So just gonna add a little bit of texture, some detail. I love detail. It sets you apart, sets your painting or your drawing apart. Oftentimes you have a little detail. And then maybe a palm tree, because it is supposed to be sort of Florida in a way. Not in a way, I mean totally. Let's see. I'm going to do one for Uncle Chris, too. I'm going to do one for, it's going to be Broadway based. That'll be the next sketch / oil painting. I'm doing one for everybody in my family. Everybody's going to get one. And then friends. I'm on an oil painting kick this year. That's a palm tree. I'm going to do like a sort of a house back here because I'm just getting tired of it. I just really want to do it. I'm excited to get this house entered in to the books. It's very palatial. I love this. I love his house. Worked hard for it, you know. It's the bastion of hard work. I wasn't exactly given that gene, but I've got talent. But no hard work, though. My friend Joe, he says he lives his life with no regrets. I was always like, that's a weird way to go through life. No regrets. How boring. He does not. He's not a boring person by any stretch of the imagination. But I was always just kind of like, you know, sometimes it seems like all I have is regrets. Before meeting Rachel, my life before that was just kind of like regret after regret after regret. Nothing would ever go right, you know. Just the only thing I never had was ambition. Never short on regrets, though. All right, love that house. At the entrance, and you got the front porch, and the fire pit, some couches, another door, and you've got windows, another window in the backyard, and then you've got some another tree. It's a study too, so I'm not trying to make this perfect or anything like that. Just sort of giving me a guide as to where the trees are gonna go. Do another willow. Okay. Let's see. I forget the coconuts. I always forget the coconuts. A little bit of shadow. Some more palm trees in the back. Palm trees are really a great way to add depth because then it's just an easy tree to draw. That's why I kind of go. It's why I kind of choose to draw Florida scenes or tropical. It's easy. It's easier, to be quite frank. I mean, I enjoy drawing literally any setting. But it's just nice when somebody lives in Florida. It's easier to draw something, you know, as it were. But that's not a knock on Chris or living in New Jersey. I love New Jersey. Unlike, I mean, I do. I enjoy it. I just haven't been there in a while. I want to visit him. He's always been so good about coming here to see Annabelle and Lola and me, of course. It's just nice to see everybody. We gotta see him. Gotta make a trip. And Aunt Lillian, she's on the list as well for a painting. Sorry for charging you money for the caricature. I think it's because it was Barack Obama, but I shouldn't have, and I am sorry, and also of your dog. I love you all, and part of this is penance. You know, I've made a lot of mistakes, as I said, in terms of regrets. So, drawing with Jay is therapeutic, and it's a good way for me to get these things out, sort of talk them out. You know, my uncles have always been there. I want to talk about family and friends. You know, when you're in tough times and you need them the most, maybe you just need to talk to somebody. Sometimes friends aren't there because they're busy, and reasonably so. People have lives to live. But my family and my uncles have always been there when I've needed them. And my family too, brothers and sisters. But I just don't know how many people's uncles are almost like always there for you when you need them. And it's pretty cool. And they're my mom's brothers. And everybody knows the relationship I have with my mom, the complete lack of one. Because that's the best way to go forward about it, you know. It's the way she wants it. Certainly it's the way I want it. Now, what do I care? Never gonna meet my kid, that's for sure. After all the bullshit she's pulled. That's life, though. You know, keep giving people chances. People have given me many chances over and over, and I tend to learn from it. Not always, and I regret those times, and I'm trying to make amends. But she just is somebody who never, ever will see it from anyone else's point of view, and that just makes it hard. So I can't trust her on my kids, unfortunately. But that's life. I guess everybody's got somebody like that in their family. Tend to make things darker as they go further into the distance. And if it's a painting, ideally you want to make them less detailed, more smudged, blurred to the eye. A palm tree over the house. Okay. Eye for the horse. Did add an eye before. All right. Kind of a cartoon, but again, this is a study, a sketch in advance of a more detailed painting in oil, which will be the goal. This year in 2024, Jay Cook. Still working on the children's book, The Old Yellow Corn, so keep an eye out for that in the stores this year, later this year. I'm on page 2. But I'll get there. I'm working it out. I didn't realize fatherhood was going to be so busy, which is great, though. I'm just saying, I just didn't realize. Thought I would have more time on paternity leave, but not so. That's okay, though. I enjoy it. I'm really enjoying this process. The diaper changing, which is cool. I don't think my dad ever changed diapers. I was talking about changing Lola, changing Annabelle, and he just kind of looked at me like I was a sucker. I was like, wow, times have changed, but I wouldn't change a thing other than, my daughter's diapers. I'll change those diapers. I'll change those. But other than that, not going to change a thing about it. About fatherhood and whatnot. I like it. I enjoy it. There's a lot of crying for no reason, but maybe there is a reason. It's part of just soothing, and I guess just getting to know who you are as a person. In terms of the girls, you got to figure it out. And that's I guess that's part of crying. That's what crying's all about. you know? Looking forward, like, the sports, picking them up from practice, going to the events, maybe coaching someday. She might, I don't know, Lola might want to be a soccer player. That's exciting. Rachel brought that up the other day. She's like, "You want to be a soccer player?" I got all excited. I was like, "Sports," which is weird because Rachel doesn't really like sports. I was just happy she brought it up. I was excited, Activity, movement. I enjoy it. It's good. It's good for the body, good for the soul, good for stress levels. I like to walk when I can. I have a gym membership now, although largely what I do is the hot tub after a good swim. It's good to get the heart rate up, do some treadmill, do the machines. I just did the bench press the other day for the first time in a long time. What was I putting up? There were 2 big plates on each side, so that's 50 plus the bar. So, oh man, Jesus, only 95 pounds. I did 3 sets of 5 of 95 pounds. That's how out of shape I am. So, it's clear as a dad, if I want to protect my family, I think I should be able to bench press more than 95 pounds 5 times. I think, if you want to lift something off of somebody important to you, I think you should be able to lift a certain amount of weight, if that's, again, what's important to you. For me, it is, and that's why I have a gym membership. I do laps. I do go back to the freestyle, do some breaststroke. What else do I do? Backstroke, side stroke. I like to do what I think it's called sculling. It's where I float on my back and I just keep my hands at my sides and just sort of move my wrists, my hands as like rudders back and forth, and I can propel my body backwards or forwards, and it's really cool. It's a good workout, upper body workout, ab workout, and I'm at the point where I can go pretty fast. So that's fun. What else? I added the shadow for that tree, grain for the wood, a couple of swipey swipes. Okay. All right, so that's good. Maybe a knot. That's too much, but I did it anyway. All right, what else? We had the flower bed. A bee. There's always plenty of bees down there when we go for Thanksgiving. It's always a fun time. That's why I'm drawing this. I mean, this particular scene, I love it. This is just from memory, but the path. There's just always. It's Florida, so I mean, these insects are huge. And I like to capture it as best I can. So we got the palm trees. There's more. Maybe another willow. There we are. Happy trees. Happy trees. You know who that's from? Bob Ross. That's right. You knew that, though. Everybody remembers Bob Ross. Inspiration of the palm tree. All right. Depth. Just make things small and have a focal point that everything should meet at, and that's right here. All right. And then if the sun, I'm going to ideally have it sort of, I always have to have things a little off center. This big tree is right here. So for some weight and balance, this tree's here. So I want to have some weight over here. I can't just have like negative weight. Little tree here, that's good. With the flower bed for some weight. So something needs to be in this region. So maybe the sun would be like right here for balance, or right here. I messed up with this tree. It's too tall. But I can even it out if I add another tree here. All right, that's another palm tree. Up close, just for composition's sake, I've added a tree. So that I can have the sun be essentially right here. So it creates this in a cloud of probably like here. Boom. I don't know how good of a sun that is, but it's supposed to be right here. So we'll just do like, there we go. Okay, that's the sun. Okay, that makes the shadow now be in the back side of this post, well, mostly, and also just from an artistic standpoint, I put the posts, the boards on the inside of these posts, which means I don't have to draw nails. But if I did on the opposite side, I would have to draw nails. So just keep that in mind. It's a little bit of a time saver accidentally, but it all worked out. It's something I noticed. All right, shadow. All right, so now there's shadow everywhere. Maybe I shouldn't have done it everywhere, but I did. I did what I did. Now I'm going to add the sort of the dirt, the down part of the dirt when you're on a path, the outer edge at the shoulder. That's the part that's not going to be getting hit by the sun. So it'll be a little darker. And then it curves in to the walkway. So it's a little lighter now. And now just some texture lines. All right, see now I kind of did like sort of, I think these are concave curves. This is sort of just to give you a sense of up, like a path, like the wheels over time sort of create a groove. And then here too, because it's closer to you though, the lines should be longer and further apart. And then there's the part that's in the middle that is not hit mostly by wheels, and that's why it should not be as dark. And curved the other way. All right, now just some extra grasses. All right, that's just for some texture. Just for the close-ups, it doesn't have to be everywhere, not the entire patch of grass, just enough to sort of suggest what's going on. And then as you get further away, you can just add a little tapping lines. All right, cool. Now we've got ourselves a little scene here. We've got our house. Gonna add some windows. For the upstairs. Well, there's no upstairs, but in this picture we can make it like there is. There's a light. Probably right there. Boom. All right, so we got the houses all done. We got the sun. We got the trees. Little coconuts. I've got a horse. Just some extra shadow under his jaw, his belly. All right, the sun's coming from here, so really everything would be dark. And this is just a study, a sketch of a painting I'm planning to do. So doesn't really have to be terribly detailed, even though I continually do so. This is also serving as a sort of a tutorial, so you can follow along and do your own drawing, add little knots, add little circles here and there. You know, just the grain of a wood doesn't have to be look, just a couple lines is enough to suggest what's going on. Add a little black for separation on that side of the post, especially. All right, cool. And maybe a bird. For some depth. Oh, I love adding little birds, little seagulls here and there. There we go. Boom. All right, we got the birds. And let's see, palm trees anymore? There's a lot of palm trees and Spanish moss trees as well. Just add some more depth to this picture. There we go. And then just palm trees sticking out. I love the random palm trees sticking out too. I love it. Always love that look. The silhouettes in the distance. one of my favorite movies was The Big W. I mean, it's a mad, 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 mad world. But yeah, man, ever since then, love palm trees. I went to school at the University of Tampa, so it's always good to sort of draw these again and have all the memories flood back. Great memories at the University of Tampa. The ones I remember, of course, because I was drinking heavily and other things that were not legal at the time. But that's life, isn't it? Just having fun. Like I said, I've got regrets. No ambition, but I'm working on it. Now that I've got kids, I'm going to own a business. And really create a legacy for myself. I'm going to do an art gallery, art supply store, and I'm looking forward to it. And a YouTube how-to drawing with Jay. Learn about stuff, learn about things, learn about the world. Just keep learning. Keep your eyes open. Keep your ears open. Don't listen to one outlet. Listen to everything, even if it's ridiculous. Just keep listening. Listen and pay attention. And you can figure out who's lying and who's telling you the truth. It's pretty easy to tell. Based on the people who blame, or the people who are asking for solutions. Please. Let's do it. Let's do it together. Let's be a team. That's all I really want. That's all anybody wants, is to work together and be safe and to live in a safe environment, where people can be free. And I mean, we worked really hard to have this society that we live in, the way that we live in it, It's not easy. The people who fought for it, like my father, my brother, my grandfathers before them, and then all the way down the line. So it means a lot. It means an awful lot to me. Trying to get fancy with some clouds here before I call it a day. It's just a cloud to even things out from a composition standpoint. Okay. This way we've got like a whee, and then the cloud sort of matches the ground in a way. Wisp, wisp, wisp. Wisp, wisp, wisp. There we go. That's drawn with J. That's how you do clouds. Now, the sun is here, so if this cloud is low, the light is going to be hitting the back of this cloud, and it's going through the thinnest part of the cloud, which is the top of it. That's why it's bright. The thicker part of the cloud is down here, and this is the back of the cloud closest to our eye, which is why it's shaded, I should say, with shadow. Jeez, I'm crow, if I could talk. All right, here we go. Now this is more correct. As far as, it's not easy to use a pen and do clouds, I'll tell you that. That's why this is just a study, a sketch for the oil painting that will be coming. The impending. Oh, wow. All right, cool. And then there's one last little cirrus cloud up there. Innocuous. There we go. Now it's full. I've used the whole canvas. Some bees. Some life going on. Maybe a fly. Okay. And land. There's a sun, walking path. There's a horse. Okay. That really big head for that horse, but I mean, that's what happens. So all right, yeah, that's my landscape for the day. I think I did it. Did I do it? Did I need anything else? Any other details? I always like to do like a little man getting sucked up by a alien ship. You have to try and find. There we go. Now there in the distance. You can maybe see that if we can zoom in afterward. All right, but this has been Drawn with Jay. We come back in. You can see this. Now I can just add some final details just to make it pop, hopefully, a little bit more. Add some black, some contrast, which is an important part of any drawing. Important for composition. The back side of this tree would get a lot. All right, next is the grass. All right, and then I learned this from Bill Pettit. The grass is darker closer to you. The grass is brighter the further away from you because the sun is brightening it up. So anyway, with paint, I'll just make sure, this is just letting me know to make it darker. Closer than further away. All right, some grass around feet and other posts just to add that little extra for the grass areas. Lots of grass on the property. There we go. All right, good enough. Now, sign it. Call it a day. Boom. That's it. Let's call it Ocala Nights in November.